Hey, this is Donnie of the Marketing Twins. If you need any assistance with this website, please contact us at PCA@marketingtwins.com. Okay, this particular video tutorial is going to show you how to update the blog, which is on the site right now. As of the time of this video, we do not have it up here, but eventually you'll be able to access the blog either on the Connect with Us page through a drop down similar to these, or there will be a section right over here to the side somewhere up here where the word blog will appear. Until that time, we can go ahead and get to it by going to pantego.com/blog. And here's the blog. We have this one blog post up right now. Wanted to show you a couple things about this if you're not familiar with how blogs work. The blog itself, if you go to pantego.com/blog, you're going to see the latest entry here. And over time, as more entries are put in, more blog posts are put in, this date, you'll see other blog posts with different dates, and this will continue on. Right now, this is the only one, but you'll see just a continuation of several blog posts. I think they do 5 to 7 of those, and then it'll have a section down at the bottom that says older post or newer post or something to that effect. And that's in essence going to page 2, and you can go back to you can kind of see past blog posts, etc. But if you go to the blog post, you're always going to see the latest one. However, at any time, if you want to ever link to specifically to a certain blog post that you've done, if you'll notice, the URL up here is specifically to the blog. But if I was to click on the title of the blog, you see it turns blue. Now, this is the URL for that specific blog post. So in the event that a blog is written and maybe, say, 2 weeks later you want to post that on Facebook or in an email, rather than just sending people to blog and having them search for the particular article you're looking for, you can send them to the specific URL of that blog by simply clicking on the title of the blog as you see here. And when you do that, it opens it up to the specific URL. So that's a little tidbit in case you were wondering how that works. All right, so how do we go about doing this? This is going to be fairly straightforward. There should be a tutorial that you should be able to view on how to add pages to this website. And if you have seen that at some point, this will be very familiar to you. If you're not familiar with how to add pages, that's fine. You don't need to know how to add pages to add posts to the blog. So let me explain how we do that. First thing you want to do is get logged in. You'll be in your dashboard. And if you are logged in, you may or may not see these things on the left-hand side. It may be all scrunched up as you see here. And you obviously can just simply hover over. If I'm at the main dashboard, here I am. You'll see here post media, and anytime you want to expose the drop-down menus, you just hover over it and click the down arrow and it exposes that. What you want to focus on is not pages, but posts. The difference in that is the blog itself is a page, and the individual blog entries are blog posts. The admissions is a page. The 6 steps to apply is a page. But the Welcome to Pantego Christian blog is an actual blog post. So the difference in posts and pages are pretty clear. All these pages you have on your website is where you'll find everything. But there are specific posts, and that's what we've got here. So that's what the difference in these two right here, pages and posts. So if you're entering a new blog post, you simply come over here, and if this is not already exposed, make sure you click the down arrow to expose the following. You can click on all posts, and it'll show you all the posts that you have. Right now, we only have the one. At any point, you can go back in and edit that blog just by either clicking the title of it here or the word edit. Either one does the exact same thing. You can add new categories and tags. We'll talk more about categories and tags a little later. But for now, we're going to focus on adding new. So you want to add a new blog. So you'll simply add new here. And up here is the title of the post. So if you go back to what we have here, Welcome to Pantego Christian Blog. This is what you would type here in the title. Now, anytime a blogging is done, you want to make sure that you try to use good keywords because these are going to be items that can be found in a search engine search. So you don't want to simply type, let's say you're doing a thing on the band. You want to simply have the blog titles called The Band or The Panther Band. That people may not be searching for Panther Band, maybe they would, but if you want to put Pantego Christian Panther Band, those keywords would really resonate. If you're writing an article on the tax test or the new STARS test or whatever the public schools are using, put that in the title. Use that as a keyword in the title. So don't take this lightly. You want to use the title. Don't overthink it, but don't underthink it as well. So you'll type the blog post here. We're going to do one called "The Greatness of Pantego Christian Academy Band." We'll just have some fun with that. Now, when I use my tab key, and that got me down to here. You can see the cursor is blinking. I've already got a URL that's located here. There's some other things in there we'll talk about as far as categories here in just a minute. But right here, you can do several things. Mainly, you want to know that there's these two tabs right here, a visual and an HTML. The visual is somewhat of a what you see, what you get. What you type here is what it's going to look like when you get to the site itself. Now, keep in mind that it's not going to look exactly. This is a WordPress, just a template. I mean, this is exactly how every WordPress website or blog is done, regardless what it looks like in the end. Everything is the exact same thing that you're seeing right here. All these little icons, and it looks just like this. But the end result will not, because the theme that we use often has color schemes and fonts and different things like that. So if you type it in here and think, well, that font doesn't look like the same font here, that's okay. It's not going to look exactly, but it's going to give you a better idea. Now, that's the visual part of that. This is how you can make things bold or italicized and do some different things like that. The HTML is really all it is, exactly what it sounds like. It's the code part of it. So, for instance, if I was going to type the band went to state in Austin at UT, and let's say I wanted to highlight the word UT and link it over to the University of Texas at Austin, so I have no idea if this is what I'm just going to play around and say that. Open that in a new window, new link. That looks like it looks like on the visual, but when you go to the HTML, I know if I want to center this and I want to put the band in, let's say, bold and italicized, that looks kind of simple. But when you go to the HTML side, you can see what it looks like with that. It looks completely different than the visual side. You will spend 99.9% of your time on the visual side of it. Unless you know anything about HTML, I would ask you to avoid that section here. But this is what it looks like on the visual side of it. This here is more just formatting kind of things, pretty self-explanatory, some bullet points. Some of these you'll never use. I don't use the quotes very much. You'll find yourself not using that a lot. I would ask you to check your spelling on that. Some of this stuff, don't worry too much about this. Next Gen Gallery is not something you're going to use. The C forms, you're probably not going to use that on a blog. Here's a good button, the undo button. It undoes the last thing that you did, and I like that. I've never used this one. I don't really use this one. But let's talk about these others. Obviously, you have the bold, italicize this. Some people get carried away when they do blogs. They think, oh, let's have some fun. Let's put some fun colors in. And I would say, due to the fact that this website has a certain color scheme with the black and the gray and the red, you certainly do not want to get into doing any kind of colors that would be out of whack. Anytime you add a hyperlink, and you see what I did there is just highlight the word, the little chain link opens up, and you enter. You have to always have that part in. So start your thing here, and whether you have to do the www is another story, and you don't necessarily have to do that. You can do it that way, ACU, etc. So you want to add your links there. If you ever think, well, that's not exactly what I want it to be, you can always unlink it by clicking that. Click the word that you have it linked already, and then unlink it here. Okay, let's talk about this right here. It's very tempting to say, hey, let's make this really big. And this looks like it's supposed to be really big. So let me do that. I'm going to again caution you not to do that. These are standard. The way this looks, it looks like on every WordPress blog. But your theme is set a certain way to have certain font sizes. So just avoid doing anything with that. Okay. I never understood why the underline is not up here. It probably should be, but that's something. Same thing with the line full. It probably should be up here. We've talked about the colors. Let's avoid having to use any crazy colors. The key thing is this. These two things right here, I'll just keep it simple and say if you have a document in Microsoft Word that you or somebody has typed out and said, I want this to be on the blog, the worst thing you could do is take your Word document, copy the text from that Word document, and simply paste it in right here. The reason that is because there is a lot of code, believe it or not, built into Word, and it really wreaks havoc with your theme, any WordPress themes for that matter. And so what you want to do is avoid pasting it from Word directly, but instead, let's say that this was inside a Word document. You copy it from your Word document and then go up here to either select either one of these options will work just fine. And when you paste it as plain text, a little box pops up. Use your Control V, and when I do that, I Control V. That content is in there. Now it's in there. It's stripped of all unnecessary code, and you have exactly what you need. You can then do your different things. I've had people send me Word documents that have all this formatting, and to their credit, they've worked extremely hard to make sure that the blog, in their mind, their blog is going to be formatted in a certain way. They've used a lot of features that Microsoft Word has that's simply just not available. And they want indentions and they want all this kind of fun stuff. It's not the same thing as Word. So don't accept something from Word and think you can replicate that over directly in the blog. You can do a lot of things with the formatting here, but just keep in mind that you want to be very careful about some of the stuff. So if you run into problems, we can talk about that. Let me just talk about a couple things, and then I'm going to actually pause the video and pick that up in a second video so we don't run over, and we'll still be able to get hopefully a lot of your questions answered in the second video before we let you go. So again, this is the real critical. Paste it in. Either one of these will work. And then I don't get to spend much time on these two things here. Again, you can indent, and then that's a formatting option here. One little thing that I think is interesting that sometimes I have a hard time, this little box here, when I'm wanting to type something really long, it seems so small. And so one down here in the right-hand corner, you'll see that there are some diagonal lines. It's kind of hard to see. You have to look carefully. But if you'll take your mouse, hover over that, and click and pull that down, that allows you the freedom to, you can pull it down quite a ways to visualize now you have a bigger canvas space. And so that's a helpful tip, hopefully, for you. What I'm going to do now is pause. Well, let me finish this one last thing. The author, it's going to default to whatever you logged in as. And so that's what we are right now, the Marketing Twins, but yours would come in differently. We'll talk about this SEO stuff here in another tutorial, and then I'll talk about the second part over here, how to publish this here in just a little while, as well as how to publish media as part of your blog post. So this will conclude the first part of the blog post tutorial, and we'll pick up right where we left off on the second one.